Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football content. Yesterday, we looked at the Dynasty rookie risers from the NFL Combine. We had a great episode on that. Today, we're going to look at the other side of the coin, the fallers. I will say, it was a great NFL Combine. I could have picked 20 or 25 players for yesterday's episode. For today, I feel like I struggled to even find any, but let's jump into the few fallers that I noted from this year's NFL Combine. Spencer Rattler. Again, it was tough to pick fallers. It's not like he was horrible. He was not horrible. But he didn't do anything to challenge Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix for the quarterback 5 and quarterback 6 spots. And if anything, he might have even lost his stranglehold on that mid-round quarterback 7 position. He really struggled in the 40-yard dash, 4.95 seconds. That's really bad. To give you a comparison, Peyton and Eli Manning were both faster. So it's bad. It is really bad. He did all the workouts, Spencer Rattler, and he was bad in all of them. That was probably a mistake. He probably should not have done the workouts. If you're going to perform poorly, you probably shouldn't do them. Not everyone is expecting quarterbacks to do all the workouts. So that was probably a big error, tactical error on his part. The poor combine means he could probably fall out of day 2. It's hard. Usually 5-6 quarterbacks go in the first 3 rounds. He would be the 7th. Doesn't happen every year. And if he falls out of day 2, he's not going to be a pick I want in rookie drafts. So right now, I think he's in danger to keep sliding. I have him quarterback 7 still, 34th overall in Superflex rookie ranks. Lack of mobility or agility means he's going to struggle with fantasy upside. I'm just not that interested in Spencer Rattler. Now, probably one of the big names is a faller, Bucky Irving, running back from Oregon. Let's remember the theme of the Risers episode. What was the theme? Players who have both size and speed rose up the board. NFL teams are focusing on that combo. If you are big, can break tackles, and have speed and break away, that's what the teams want. Bucky Irving's neither of those things. He showed neither of them. 4.55 40-yard dash is 192 pounds. Now, that's not slow, but at 192 pounds, that's not good. That's not impressive. Did not impress me. Additionally, dead last in the vertical jump, second to last in the broad jump. I expected him to be a round 3 pick heading into the NFL Combine. That's not going to happen. He's going to be on day 3, probably somewhere in round 4. It's a real shame because we're talking about a productive prospect here. And he had 1,000 yards in 2022, 31 catches. And in 2023, 1,180 yards and 56 catches, which is insane for a college running back. But it sucks. We know that draft capital is king. Day 3 capital means that he's unlikely to ever get a role. So that, for those reasons, I have him running back 7 and 31st overall. It's a really deep class. Just hard to take a round 4 running back anywhere above the mid-3rd. So that's where I've got him at the moment. Next faller at the running back, Braelon Allen. I wish we had seen him run the 40-yard dash, although considering what Audric Estime did in the 40-yard dash, maybe he had his reasons for not running it. He was near the bottom in both jumping events. Good on the bench, 2nd behind Blake Corum with 26 reps. Came in at 235 pounds. I expect him to be a bruiser type. Like I kind of hinted at, I think that Braelon Allen knew he would be very slow in the 40-yard dash. I don't think he was going to break 4.6. Maybe it would have even been as bad as Audric Estime. So he just chose not to run it. Unfortunately, Braelon Allen's coming into the NFL about 20 years too late. It's the type of running back the NFL is moving away from. What used to be valued is that you had the size so you could hold up to a 20 to 25 carry workload. Teams just don't do that anymore. They prefer speedy guys to split the backfield between at least 2, sometimes even 3 players. So I do think there's still a role for Allen in the NFL. Goal line back, bruising back. And I expect, even in a weak class like this one, 5 to 6 running backs to go on day 2. Allen could be one of them. His combine wasn't the worst. He wasn't terrible in the drills. But he's lost any claim to the top tier. You know, Jalen Wright is now challenging Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson for those top spots. Braelon Allen has fallen a little bit, down to RB5, 23rd overall. I'm still hoping he sneaks into the back of round 3, but he'll drop even more if he doesn't. And it sucks. I just had hopes for him. Now, speaking of someone I have no more hope for, Audric Estime. Goodbye. He cratered his stock with a 40-yard dash. 4.71. Unacceptable. Yeah, 221 pounds. I mean, he's heavy, but that's not that heavy. 4.71 is not good enough. Now, some people are being lazy. They're just saying, oh, well, Kyron Williams was a Notre Dame running back who ran slow, and he ended up being good. It's just lazy. They're not even similar players. Williams was a smaller back, different skills entirely. He had receiving skills, which Estime has not shown. Maybe he'll follow the Kyron path, but they have nothing to do with each other. The bad odds. I think, if we saw Audric Estime go completely undrafted like Elijah Holyfield did after a slow combine a few years ago, that wouldn't surprise me. Round 4 is at best. I think it's more going to be like round 5 or 6. I'm just not interested in Audric Estime. RB9, 36th overall. Late 3rd round pick. At that point, I'm fine taking a running back. Any running back with any shot to play. But yeah, that's mostly just the name value. I think that if he falls to undrafted, he'll be even lower. And I think other running backs are going to pass him. Ones who performed a little bit better at the combine. It's not like Audric Estime was the most productive college running back ever. So sucks. He was someone I thought had a big opportunity to rise, and he did exactly the opposite. Next up, Troy Franklin. Now, I want to emphasize this about the wide receiver specifically. There were no prominent wide receivers who performed badly. Troy Franklin did not perform badly, but the wide receiver group was the wide receiver and the offensive tackles were the best overall at the combine. Those were the 2 star groups. Everyone was raving about those groups. So anything less than special stood out. And Franklin was fine, but it wasn't special. 4.41 in the 40, that's fine, but 176 pounds, that's not impressive. To be that light, I want to see something in the 4.3s, preferably the low 4.3s, especially considering that Brian Thomas was faster at like 30 pounds heavier. So that didn't do it for me. Additionally, he was dead last in the 10-yard split. Didn't do anything special in the jumping events. He looked fine on the on-field drills. He looked fine. But it's just, I could have listed 10 wide receiver risers. I did 3 yesterday. I could have done 10. It was that good of a group. So being just okay means that you're a faller this year. And that's kind of how I feel about Troy Franklin. We have to remember, though, he was a productive wide receiver in college. So I'm not going to dismiss him. He's still going to be a round 2 pick. I do think he lost his claim to being in round 1. I don't see that happening. And therefore, I have him wide receiver 8 and 15th overall. He fell behind Xworthy, Adonai Mitchell, and Ladd McConkey, all of whom were behind him before the combine. They're all ahead of him now. And I think 8th is a good spot for him draft capital-wise. I think that's about right. Next up, very similar. Not a similar player in Keon Coleman. Similar kind of performance. He wasn't horrible. 4.61 in the 40s, not that fast. But at 213 pounds, that's not the worst. There have been many successful NFL players at that size and speed combo. He wasn't a standout or bad in the other events. And I think the rest of his performance at the NFL Combine was a little better than Troy Franklin's. But he doesn't have great college production. He's one of the only wide receivers kind of in the top of this class who just didn't get there for me production-wise. He has 2 relevant seasons. In 2022, 58 catches, 798 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And in 2023, 50 catches, 658 yards, 11 touchdowns. It's fine, but I like to see something dominant, and that's not dominant for me. There might be a few too many red flags. The production's not there. The testing numbers, not what we wanted. The tape people are saying that Keon Coleman is great. I tend to think that, the stats are generally more predictive. But anyway, might be a few too many red flags. The thing that I liked most about Keon Coleman is that he was going to go in round 1. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. So since I like him less than Troy Franklin, I have Keon Coleman just behind wide receiver 9, 16th overall. And I'm okay missing out. on Troy Franklin to take a running back. I'm okay taking Jonathan Brooks or Trey Benson ahead of Troy Franklin, which was not the case pre-combine, or Troy Franklin or Keon Coleman, kind of, but same bucket. Those two fell from ahead of the running backs to behind. So I'm just kind of in the same spot. And I've seen mostly Keon Coleman mocked in the second, right alongside Troy Franklin, whereas other guys like Xworthy and Adonai Mitchell have passed them and are now being mocked in the first. Last faller, I want to just touch on Ja'Tavion Sanders. He's not a huge faller because there wasn't much of a range for him to go. But I will say, I was disappointed in this. 4.69 40-yard dash, 245 pounds is not that heavy for a tight end. It's not bad, but he's not an athletic freak. Wasn't great in the 20-yard shuttle either, 4.32 seconds, 5th of 7 tight ends who did that event. And as a lot of people are seeing from Kent Lee Platt, these RAS scores, just 8.06. Now, that's great. That's 80th percentile. That's good. But usually the tight ends that are successful are the best of the best. Like they're in the nines. They're elite because there's a lot of tight ends that play in the NFL, and not many of them actually do anything for receiving. They're not special in that way. It's a lot of other things that tight ends do. A lot of blocking, a lot of, tweeners who, spend some time blocking. I don't know how I feel about Ja'Tavion Sanders. I'm not really a fan. Now, he's locked in at tight end too because this class is so weak. Really, there's nobody other than Brock Bowers and Ja'Tavion Sanders. There were some other guys I did notice. Theo Johnson, I heard kind of some good things. Ben Sinnott. Still think they're going to go in mid-late round 3. But to give you a comparison, last year, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, Michael Mayer, Luke Musgrave, they all went in the top 42 overall picks. Very tight range of those 4 guys. I don't think Ja'Tavion Sanders is going to go in the top 42 picks. The last mock draft I saw had him 55 to Miami. That would be a horrible landing spot. I'd be totally out. But either way, I've never really seen him above 49, 50, kind of the highest I've seen. So I'm not going to be more in on Sanders just because the rest of the tight end class is weaker. He would have been tight end 5 last year. Wouldn't have been that impressive. So I'm just ranking him based on his overall, profile, not based on the relative value of him compared to tight ends this year. 26th overall. I don't think I'm going to want to spend a second round pick on him. Last year, I had Luke Musgrave 24th overall. So makes sense. I like Sanders a little bit less. He's a little bit lower. That's my wrap up on Ja'Tavion Sanders. A little bit of a faller. Just wish that 40 time was a little faster. Now, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support these videos. And let me know what you thought about these combine wrap-ups. There's something a little different for me. So I always love feedback, especially when I'm doing something that I'm not used to. Of course, if you want my rookie ranks, the only way to get them, patreon.com/fantasy advice. You can get them there. You can also buy them at the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. For $20, you get all of my ranks for the entire 2024 season. All ranks. Dynasty ranks, positional ranks, rookie ranks, redraft ranks, and every week of start sit. All of that for just $20 for the whole season. If you want more interaction with me, I offer the Patreon starting at $6 a month. You get those same rankings and then additionally access to the Discord where you get to chat with me and just chat about Dynasty rookies, whatever you want. But once again, I want to thank everyone who supports me on the Patreon, everyone who watched the video, leaves comments and likes, and subscribes to the channel. And I will see you all later. Peace out.